Thank you for having me here. It's an honor, and it's an honor to be surrounded by this community, which I chose many years ago. And perhaps that is the point of my diversity today. You know, I'm here to share with you a long journey, perhaps an epic, although without a logic, and maybe without tragedy, but an epic, nonetheless, journey from Lomas de Zamora, which is somewhere in the middle of nowhere, nearby Buenos Aires, Argentina, to Ashfield, Massachusetts. We just watched a video with a lot of my students and colleagues and community partners. Another middle of nowhere, via Knoxville, Tennessee, Appalachian Trail still, but middle of nowhere again. And that brings me to a thought that I think it was articulated by the thinker Pascal, but it was, before him, it was written in the Qumran text, and the philosopher Hermes used it, which says that the universe is a sphere which center is everywhere, but the periphery is nowhere. To give you a sense, because I think that this journey, what is interesting to me about the journey is the odds that were placed there, and I never thought about that until Stacy Contrabecchi invited me to talk about the sense of place, and it really resonated with myself. You know, you don't think about things like it was said before, until you don't have things like the government. You know, you don't think about those things until they're not there. I didn't think about place until I didn't have it. To give you an idea, I came from a very sedentary family. This family moved from Italy to Buenos Aires, or the outskirts of Buenos Aires, in 1850. So by the time I was born, they had been there already over 100 years. And they'd been in Italy many, many hundreds of years before. And this came to my attention when talking to my neighbor Ray Gray, and friend, who's the son of Marion that was in the video just now. He said, "I'm going to move from Ashfield." I was like, that's so weird. I mean, you have been here all your life. It's like, yeah, don't panic. I'm moving to Goshen. Which, by your laughters, I induce or infer that you know that it's 5 minutes away. My family, back in Buenos Aires, when I said, you know, I'm going to move from Lomas to Temperley, that was fine. It's 5 minutes away. An hour away, it was problematic. When I said I'm moving abroad, it was a disaster. So, for many reasons, and I don't think I should go into those reasons right now, because it's not going to add anything to the purpose of this presentation about the sense of place. But at some point, I found myself lost. It was after a war, the dirty war in Argentina. It was way after that. I couldn't find my place in the theater community. I'm an actor, as it was said, and I didn't find my place with my family. So I decided to travel and leave. And of all places, when I was thinking, I thought, you know, there's a possibility with Europe. Of course, Europe, you know, is fancy, is what everybody wants. I didn't I wasn't that interested. I thought of Asia and I thought of Africa, but of all places, I thought of the US, which of course produced a big reactions in the circles I surrounded myself with. It's like, US, are you crazy? Why are you going there? There's nothing going on there. So, you know, I thought at the time, and I was very politically engaged, and I think I still am, and participating, I thought, if I want to affect changes and try to create situations, I need to go to cultures that are perspiring cultures to other cultures. I need to present the voice of the diverse where the centers of power are. So, and also, there was a possibility for me, and that was Knoxville, Tennessee, and I took it. I came to Knoxville, Tennessee, and brought by a producer, an American producer, to work on a theater within a university. This producer one day said, you know, we need to do a lot of business trips in the country to really establish this theater program. And we're going to go to DC, we're going to go to Pittsburgh, to Philadelphia, to New York, and I want you to come with me to Ashfield, Massachusetts. I'm like, what? I think I can't go there. And the guy said, you know, you need to look at this, you need to see this. So I decided, all right, let's give it a try. We finished that tour, and the last 2 days was September 12th, 1996. I landed in Ashfield, Western Massachusetts. And what I saw there is a place that, if this helps me, I'll show it to you. A place that was pretty run down, with a group of artists that were training there, intensely training, jumping up and down, doing this kind of like circus-like acrobatic things. It blew my mind, the level of commitment they had for the work, but I didn't quite understand what they were doing. To give you another sense of odds, my journey as an artist was always looking into folk, community-based traditions. So I was really into Mardi Gras, circus, and I even did a long research on gaucho theater, which is like here to say cowboy theater. And I went into the Pampas to, you know, to find out how they did theater in those rural communities. When I came here, I was like, this is nothing related to me. So I left and I went back to my job. And weeks later, I got a letter inviting me to consult with this company, because they were thinking about whether they would stay or go back to Boston, where they were originally from. I accepted the job and I consulted, and the clarity came back then that there was either in Boston or Ashfield, that both weren't going to work and that they needed to choose. And I thought, there are possibilities in Ashfield. Months later, I get a call, they decided to stay, and they invite me to join them. I'm like, you know, I just got this job, but you know, it was interesting, and there were things that were attracting me back then, and one of them was the commitment level, and the possibility to develop an art form in a place where you could immerse yourself in the work, which is very rare for an artist, because normally performers were working in cities. And cities are known for this kind of like bombardment of stimuli. And it's a difficult situation for an artist to really try to, you know, have a hold of oneself. But there was not that sense, there was not the community yet, and in fact there were some odd situations at the time in 1996 about, because this is an APR land, a farm where this theater came, so the artists needed to demonstrate to the people that they were going to tend the land, which is what they did, and the Mardi Gras and those forms, I couldn't see them around here in the Berkshires. So I came for a trial period of 6 months to see if it was going to work, and it did work, so we decided that I was going to stay. I stayed, and we started going in trips to Europe and start to develop these programs. And I became the first producing director and general manager of Double Edge Theater, something they didn't have until then. And we went to South America to see Mardi Gras, and all of a sudden, when we were thinking about this and the lack of community and the lack of like this kind of like folk theater event, we thought the land is where the heart of this work, the soul of this work can happen. And the land as a backdrop, as said, but the stimulus for the artist. And we started working with the land. We chose the classics. We did Quixote, we did Master and Margarita, we did the Myths of Merlin, the Odyssey. And slowly, this place that was pretty run down, we started transforming and became our stage. And it helped me realize that I was kind of like finding my place, the place within myself. What's important maybe to say is that today, you know, back then we started performing 3 shows every summer, 3 nights, and we had somewhere around 65 to 70 audience members. This last summer, 2013, we performed Scheherazade from Arabian Nights. We had approximately 2,700 people attending to the performances. 50 community members were part of the show, plus 24 permanent professionals were committed to this project. We do have training programs. Our company grew and now has been premiering shows at Arena Stage in DC, and we took the show afterwards to the Golden Mask Festival in Moscow, and we have gaining a lot of awards and recognition. And all this, you know, I couldn't have thought about that when I was in Buenos Aires. I barely knew about the Berkshires. I knew from geography a little bit that it was part of the Appalachian chain of mountains, but I was not really attracted to the culture from afar. And all of a sudden I found this community that is surprising. And it brought back, as I've been living here for 17 years, the remembering of something I knew about this sort of anarchistic practice of democracy that these little towns have. And I think, you know, that's when I think that there should be distinctions about governments. There are governments and governments. And I think these towns are an example of community engagement and participation. All of this brought me back to a couple of thoughts. One is the painter Marc Chagall that we use to do these shows that you perhaps will see there in the screen. Perhaps, I don't know if I'm managing to get there. Some of these paintings comes as an inspiration from him. And he said, "My homeland exists only in my soul, in myself. There are no borders, no barriers, and I need no passports to cross them." And the second thought is related to the poet and thinker Federico Garcia Lorca, who said that there is no method to find a place. There is no method to find our revelations. That one day I was about to comb myself in front of a mirror, and from the quicksilver of the mirror, I saw it. It was there. The revelation was there. Thank you.